He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Attention, citizens of fair Gotham. Welcome to Bat Minute of the Phantasm, the show that won't slink away quietly into that good night. I am one of your hosts, John Parker.
And here, retreating back into the smoke, a la Homer Simpson into a bush, it is me, Niall McGowan.
Right, can you please get the Homer thing, put Batman in it, and change the bush to be like a grey colour?
I remember earlier this season, I did that whole thing about, like, the joke Vera Drew was on that episode, where I was like, the Joker's has that line of, like, oh, meatloaf again? Oh, I had it for lunch. And did a meme of, Kirk Van Houten going like, I don't like the idea of the Joker having 2 meatloaf meals in one day. Vera didn't get it in the episode, but that meme did friggin' gangbusters. There was like 5,000 likes by the time it was done. So I'm thinking just going in with this footage of Andrea backing off into the smoke and just then having Homer going back into the bush underneath. that's a meme in itself right there. You know?
That's all you need. And you know what else is what we need here today? Wonderful, wonderful guest investigators. We are joined by a returning duo, veterans, masters. We are joined by Mark and Nathan of the DC Cinematic Minute.
Oh, thanks for having us. I love the intro. And yes, totally a meme. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Always a pleasure. Glad to be here.
And calling us masters, what an honor. I don't even have my masters yet.
He said yet.
You're doing a master's in Batman.
I mean, that is very welcome, to be honest with you. I'll take that. I'll print that out and put it on my wall any day.
I would imagine you could probably do some kind of degree that centers around Batman.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of weird degrees now. We had one over here once. You could literally do a degree in, like, the Spice Girls.
Yeah. There's one on, like, David Beckham. But, like, I think you can do it, like, if you just go into, like, even, like, you could do a dissertation on folklore or, like, classic literature
character
or
archetype,
mythology.
Yeah,
and then you could just do it about Batman and compare him to... And later on, I'll be talking about Batman comparing him to Faust. Because I have a distinct note about that. So it's all in there, baby.
Is this coming up in this minute?
It is. It's a tangentially related thing.
I literally just did Faust as part of my degree.
Yeah, well.
How do I? Oh, never mind. We'll get to it.
We'll get to it, baby.
We will. So this is minute 65. The minute starts with Andrea revealing that she never existed, if you see things through my eyes anyway. I've hinted at this before. And it ends with chaotic car carnage.
This is like the end of Drop Dead Fred, when Phoebe Cates and Rick Mayall have to say goodbye to each other.
Yeah.
And she's like, Batman letting his imaginary girlfriend that he has go.
Is that a theory that you have?
It's more of a joke.
It's a joke. Okay. I'll get on with the joke that okay. I'm down for that. She's a phantasm.
Yeah, she is a fan. Well, that's the thing. We had beef with this a couple of minutes ago, where, like, okay, so she takes off the outfit. She's back to being a normal woman. Yet she still transports herself around as if she is a ghost. Like, she still has to appear out of the plumes of smoke. She's just walking away from Bruce here. She could just turn around and walk away, but she's, no, I've got to both bring out the smoke bomb.
She's just another theater kid.
Yeah.
Just another thespian.
Mm-hmm. Just another thespian.
Big theater kid energy. You're right.
It is. And I love it. I'm here for it. I mean, like, if you had the ability to make all of your entrances smoke entrances, wouldn't you take that opportunity?
No, I still wonder though if the smoke smells.
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean,
is it odorless?
Oh yeah,
well,
that fog machine smell.
Fog machine smell is. I'll put that up higher on the list. I welcome it. I do welcome it. The candle though that they do make a fog machine candle. Not the best.
Does it fog?
No.
Or does it smell like the fog machine?
It smells like the fog machine, but in the same sense that, like, they try to get that smell of the E.T. ride, and it's like, that's not the same thing.
No.
Like, I know what you're doing.
There's an E.T. ride candle.
I'm pretty sure it's the same fog and humidity and mist and
So wait,
dirty people.
Whoa! One, there's an ET ride, and two, it smells of fog. What the hell's going on?
Yeah,
It smells like pine.
Yeah.
Pine.
and-
ET candle is very popular because the ET ride at Universal has a particular smell to it.
Yeah.
And then
Is the beginning of the ride like the movie where it's just unnecessarily creepy and terrifying
Yes.
for like
Whole thing
35
is.
minutes?
Whole thing
and
is.
then
it's
it
very
turns in-
moody.
It's
Yeah,
great.
very
It's great.
moody.
It's one of the best experiences that they have on the property and have had for 20 years or something like that. Anyway,
I was always curious because I know I think she's moved entirely over to Nebula, which I'm not dipped into yet, but I know Lindsay Ellis, of course, a very famous content creator, film analyst on YouTube, did a whole video for Nebula about like how ET has had no lasting cultural impact. And just from seeing the headline, I was like, what? It's like everybody still knows what ET is, but I don't know, maybe the younger generations do not know what ET is at all. But you're saying like if that ride's been there for 30 plus years, I guess it still does. Like if ET can still pack them in, then like it's not Star Wars.
No.
What more of a legacy do you want to have?
exactly. And it seems like at this point it's more of a destination type thing. It's not a thrill ride. It's not anything worth. It's nothing. It's very slow, sitting on a bike seat and just kind of going around on a little crane. With some miniature, much like these little grouping of minutes here, with some miniature buildings and whatnot down below, and it's comforting. It's nice. The audio is so blown out, and it's great. It's a good time. It's a good feeling. Anyway, what were we going with this fog machine?
Yeah, fog machines have a smell. And another thing, Universal's Halloween Horror Nights just smells like that fog machine smell.
I
'Cause it's
feel
everywhere.
like that should have been like though. Again, you can't really convey that through. It would be one of those things. Maybe it would work in a novel or something. But like, it really feels like she's using the smoke so much. It should have been like Bruce starts putting things together like when they sleep together, but maybe he's lying in bed and he just smells her hair and he's like, it smells like the friggin'. It smells like the
Fog
smoke.
machine.
Like what the hell? Like it's like I thought it was her dad, but it was her. Because again, there's never like. The audience, we've been going through going like, okay, I guess this is the point where he's sussed out that she's the Phantasm. But it feels like there should have been a much earlier, like there should have been more of an emphasis on him being like, drawing the lips on the picture of going, oh no, like he should have been a moment of him going like, the love of my life is this person sort of thing. But no,
I love the idea that you said them sleeping together. Like maybe she just inadvertently starts smoking.
That's what I was thinking. It's like, oh. Now I'm thinking, wow, fog machine during... I'll have to write that down.
Well, I know this is a relatively PG show, but I have to just say, I think it would be quite fun to introduce a smoke machine into the bedroom.
Why not?
This is some theatrics. Why not? Make it a whole to do. 6-hour session within the bedroom. You get in costumes. You get in lighting. Come on.
It'd be like making love in an 80s music video. It'd be great.
Instead of it being steamy, it's now foggy.
Yeah.
It'd be great though if like Andrea, because she uses the smoke so much, she starts developing like a cough or like she starts slowly turning into like Natasha Lyonne as the movie goes on. And towards the end, she goes from Dana Delaney to like, Bruce, think of what we could have had. They had to pay. You know what I'm talking about?
She literally has smoker's cough.
It's like, is that Andrea or is that Nick Nolte doing this voice? I was like, oh, that's about Bruce. Like, you seem to have it sounds as if you've been smoking like 40 a day, Andre. Like, what have you been doing recently? Like, I took it up.
Now I want Natasha Lyonne to play sort of Andrea in the future. She's come back.
That's like, that'd be a flash forward to like when they had her in Batman. They had her in Justice League Unlimited, but it was silent. They didn't get Dana Delaney back for the part. But maybe that's why, because it's just like, yeah, the Phantasm. I've been doing it for 40 years now. It's not terrible. Like, you sit around, freaking use smoke as your whole routine. It destroys you. I'll tell you.
It is amusing as well, just completely disappearing like this. As we say over here, sodding off. And it's a proper magic trick, isn't it? Poof of smoke, bam, I'm gone. Bruce now knows how it feels to be on the receiving end of this.
This is the better version of the joke from Dark Knight Rises, where he turns around for a second and then turns back. Catwoman's gone, and he's like, so that's what this feels like. And I remember in the theater being like, but here it is kind of like if Bruce, obviously it's not the time for a joke at this point of the movie, although Joker's about to freaking come in with a bunch of them, but it is kind of Bruce getting a taste of his own medicine, where he's just like, we were just having a conversation, and now there's an unnecessarily theatrical exit there.
Again, it's because she's not real. She's in his head. It's the Tyler Durden situation. That's why she vanishes into thin air, because Bruce is finally letting go of this memory.
They got that questionable spoilers for the end of Fight Club, where Ed Norton shoots himself in the face, and that kills Tyler Durden, but leaves him alive. And I remember being like, does he shoot out the part of his brain that had Tyler Durden in it?
You're thinking about it too literally, I think.
Well, I don't know. The whole thing was just like, but Tyler Durden, surely he should just recover from that because he's Tyler Durden. He's like, he's not real. But there is an upcoming Fight Club minute. I'll save it all for that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm going to be on that.
Yeah,
I haven't watched the movie in like 25 years.
It's a big. I have a lot of love for Fight Club. So will it? I haven't watched it in a while, but will it stand up? Let's see. But so speaking of things standing up, though, we're about to ask, fellas, because Mask of the Phantasm, one of the most acclaimed Batman films, but not a lot of people, outside of the DC super fandom have sort of encountered it. What's both of your histories with it? Like, do you go way back, or is it a relatively new thing to you?
I'll start. I think Mark has a better talk for this one. I would say way back. It was 93 when it came out, right? Yeah. So I was watching it when it was just on like a syndication repeat kind of deal on Cartoon Network at that time. So let's say like 95. Okay. Good basis. I was at 2 or 3 at the time that this would be coming out. So, I'm not paying attention to what is on the television. Anyway, so I go way back. It was the first thing that was introduced before the animated series, so I did have it on VHS. And it also came with a specific toy. Now, if I was savvy enough, I would look up on the internet to see what kind of toy came on the front of that VHS. But I can't. Literally,
they attached the toy to that, and I'd never encountered this.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain it was a actual. I'm pretty sure it was a Phantasm toy. I think
maybe that's how they tried to, after the whole snafu of like accidentally revealing who the Phantasm was in the original packaging. It's like,
maybe
get rid of all those, stick them on literally glue her to the front of a VHS cover.
Maybe,
there you go.
It could have been, or I could just be misremembering everything. I'll probably do a little bit more research after my talk here, but I go way back with it, as in relation to it leading into the animated series, which was a big deal for me, having more of those toys and just, Batman as a kid kind of deal. But I did have this on VHS, and as a child, I would rewatch VHSs very often. Kind of freak my mother out. She just was, like, why is this kid rewatching? Why is he rewatching Grease 3 times in one day? What's going on? It's like, well, because Grease Lightning, baby. So, I would just, pop in VHSs every other day and just rewatch and, rewind and put it back in and that kind of deal. This was one of those. But I do remember once I was able to get a television in my bedroom, and I had more access to cartoons that I liked watching, I did kind of stop watching the Phantasm and, would just only watch animated series at that time just because, I already saw Phantasm and they would play it on cable at, some nights, Friday nights or something like that, as like a special movie for, whatever, an hour or something like that. But I go way back. It wasn't anything new. It was kind of cool learning that so many people held it at such a high standard. In relation to it being a part of the animated series and just Bruce Timm and Kevin Conroy and all that stuff, has just going into it, it being kind of like that staple, I guess, just episode that just an excellent pilot if you will, I guess. So it was really cool just learning that like people actually like the Phantasm. When I learned that Mark liked the Phantasm so much, I was like, oh my God, that's really cool. That's kind of like such a odd Batman thing to like so much that I didn't think that many people liked it. But that being said, Mark, take it away.
I don't know if my story is much better. I will say it's funny that we mentioned E.T. and you talking about how much you watch Grease so much, or maybe, I don't know. But Edwin, my brother, he was the very same way about rewatching E.T. all the time, like multiple times a day. For some weird reason, he was obsessed with that as a kid. And so the E.T. movie was always on repeat. But I also, I had the VHS tape in 94. Now mine came with, and I don't know if my parents still have it, but it came with a comic book version, like a very tiny mini graphic novel of the movie. I don't know if anyone has mentioned this before yet, but this, my VHS tape came with a graphic novel of the movie. And so that is pretty much my first comic book as a kid was this movie. So
awesome.
I remember, obviously I grew up watching this movie over and over again. As a kid, a lot of it went over my head. And as I was getting older, I was starting to rewatch it. But I always remember reading that book a lot while the movie was playing. And, like pointing, associating what was the panels with what was on the movie at the time. And I read that comic book a lot, even though I'd seen the movie so many times. I just always referred back to it because it was just nice to have that as a kid. And so that's technically my first comic book as a child. And, growing up now, I just think of this movie as what I really enjoy from Batman stories is this this tragedy of not being allowed to have that perfect life anymore. So especially in the minute we have here that Nate and I are so fortunate to talk about, seeing this world of the future fair and seeing it how decayed it is, and it being kind of like a symbol of, they had this prospect of this great future together, and then here's the reality of it. I've always liked that with Batman, and so it just, this movie has always resonated with me. It just as much as Batman Returns has, because I enjoy Batman being tasked with this want to make the world better, but the reality of it is that he himself is can't be better. Like, I don't know, he can't be happy.
He's broken.
So that part is always, as a kid growing up and someone who read Batman, I've always enjoyed this cruel world that he's in, and trying not to become cruel himself, which Andrea Beaumont is kind of, being that dark mirror of himself. I've always enjoyed the way that this story has all these layers to it.
Actually, about because while you're on that kind of topic, one thing I'll just quickly recommend too, because when both of you were talking about like how frequently watching VHSs, a movie I would highly recommend to people that hasn't come up so far this season that ties in is, has anyone here watched Brigsby Bear? Came out a couple of years ago.
No, I wanted to, because I think we might have talked about it.
It was, Brigsby Bear was a thing where it's supposed to be set. It starts off, you're in like the post-apocalypse, whatever. The world's air has been poisoned. This guy has to live underground with his parents. The dad's played by
it's a Kyle Mooney guy.
Yeah. It's Mark Hamill. And he watches this show called Brigsby Bear obsessively on VHS, and there's every week Mark Hamill goes out and he comes back with a new copy of Brigsby Bear, and they watch the show, and it's like very obvious now because we know you watch it and you're like, Brigsby Bear, that's Mark Hamill's voice. Like, and clearly that guy playing the moon is also Mark Hamill because he sounds like the Joker and stuff. And the first 10 minutes are like, oh, they all live together and have this weird underground, biodome kind of life. And then the police show up. It turns out the world hasn't ended at all. Mark Hamill and his wife, Jane Addams, Mel from Frasier, they stole a baby when they were younger and have just been raising it underground, believing that the world is now ended. And that Mark Hamill's form of entertainment for the kid is this thing, Brigsby Bear, which has this incredibly long-winded lore. And, the kid's obsessed with it because that's all he ever saw. He just keeps going on and on and on about Brigsby Bear. So he's reunited with his family, and he makes all these new friends on the outside. That's actually a very sweet film because everybody's really nice with him. No one's ever... You're waiting for the jock to show up and be a dick, as that would just be the thing in a movie of someone with a weird past having to readjust into the world and stuff. But everybody's really nice and very patient with them and stuff. It becomes his thing is he finds out Brigsby Bear was never real, but he decides, I'm going to make the Brigsby Bear finale movie. And it's all about him and his friends coming together and making the thing. And Greg Kinnear's the cop who ends up helping them. And it's very weirdly sweet. He even meets with Mark Hamill again near the end to get him to record the lines for the vocals and stuff. And it never has a whole thing where you kidnapped me. You denied me an entire life, you asshole. It's just Mark Hamill and him having a very nice conversation about that's a very odd move in the movie, but I would highly recommend it though as a thing that people seek out because it kind of came and went, and it was a really
nobody talks about it but you.
Yeah. I'm been sitting there watching Brigsby Bear on VHS in a bunker underground for friggin' 5 years, however long it's been now. But also just in what I was saying about Batman being kind of tied to Faust. Because I was going to bring it up talking about when the Joker theme appears later in the minute, but since you were kind of on the topic there, Mark, about a guy sort of wanting to protect the city, but then been broken himself, all that sort of thing, is that I only discovered just recently that we've been singing the praises of Shirley Walker up and down, side to side, the whole season, and as deservedly so because she's incredible. But apparently her Batman leitmotif is flat out taken from Wagner's Faust overture.
Oh, okay. This is why I didn't know them, because my experience of Faust is studying it, reading the book.
Yeah, because it's originally it's an old classic tale that's been reworked and stuff, and it's been adapted a million times. But Richard Wagner was working on. He never completed it, but was working on an orchestral overture to go with a play or something of Faust, and it's very famous in itself. But someone just on Reddit, I was going through different things, and someone's like, "Has someone ever noticed this before?" And it's just you look at 7 minutes and 40 seconds into this, just listen to what happens. And the song's just going along, and all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, this is in the same key, the same exact sound. You just go dun 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 dun, bam, 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 bam. I was like, that's it. That's the freaking Batman thing. What the hell? So
amazing.
That's pretty good.
But then thinking yeah. But then thinking so why would Shirley Walker take it from Faust? Unless she was just I'm just hoping nobody notices that I ripped it off.
No, I think it's probably for other professionals to be aha, I see what you did there. I know about that.
I imagine it genuinely was a thematic tie-in where she's well, what is Batman? Who was Faust? And it was Faust was a good man who was a doctor to the people, and he wanted to go and learn everything and be the best that he could be, but then he gets tempted by the devil to sell his soul to go beyond his limitations,
to play wicked guitar.
But then if you want to look at it that way, so how is Batman a Faust tale? It's Bruce Wayne was a good man, very well educated, wants to help everybody, but he's also tempted by either you could say figures like the Joker to sell his soul to the devil and going beyond and killing them, and he's always having to walk the as Alfred says at the end of the movie, you walk the edge of that abyss every night, becoming that which you fought against. Or is the mask of Batman himself the devil figure of that's allowing him to go beyond?
That's what I was gonna say, or the actual literal devil, and then we just consider Batman the demon figure that is just fighting himself constantly.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering how you're going to tie it in, but yeah, maybe it's more of an internal thing. He's both parts of this.
Yeah. Which is great.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say it's great because like that's one of the best things about Batman, especially when it comes to like these tragic, other stories that we can try to like pull and bring Batman into and use as reference. You can literally put Batman in any one of those roles, either good side or even the bad side, and it still works either way because he does have that dichotomy within his own self. Even if you just give it the kind of obvious Bruce Wayne versus Batman thing, but even more so than that, just like the human being versus the cowl itself and his trauma and all of that stuff. He is on some level the devil to himself.
Because Darwin Cook was a great comic book artist, great comic book writer.
Yeah.
Who I think did the intro for Batman Beyond and everything. The thing that they always says, like, title sequence by Darwin Cook or something. Like, what? Him? But he had Batman Ego, which was Bruce Wayne breaking down and having a full-on conversation with his, another part of his psyche, which is just Batman. It's this big monstrous version of Batman. Yeah. He has to hash out what he's doing with him and stuff. And that's a really fascinating, comic. It's very, very cerebral, very heady. Like, it's one of those ones that's like, it's not like, oh, go read The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, exactly. Even R.I.P. Mark, you just read R.I.P. They do the whole Zarena Raw part in that, and that part is like, oh, if you're not like, it's like, yeah, okay, he's crazy. It's like, yeah, no, you need to understand, he's like really crazy. It's heavy, Doc. Like, he is on another level of wackadoo. Like, let him do his thing and leave him alone. Like, you don't want any part of that.
And I think it's both in this movie. It's both Andrea and Bruce that have become cruel because of this cruel world that they're in, and I think in Bruce Wayne, like he's spiraled so much trying to make sense of his parents' death and to avenge them that he feels like he cannot give this up because he's already peeled back a layer that reveals all this fundamental organized crime, that this corruption that breeds these criminals. And so it leads to, Joe Chill and Joker is all this organized crime. I feel like to give up being the Batman is to ignore the corruption and cruelty that has created this future. And so as well with Andrea and her family. And they're at a point where it's like they just cannot stop. And it's kind of like that kind of like that Rorschach mentality as well, right? Where it's like you just can't. You're telling me like the only option is just drop it, and it's like it seems like you would be going against your own principles if you were to do so. So they feel compelled to commit to this unhappy life.
What were we talking about? Getting a doctorates in Batman? I'm Dr. Batman, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yes. Right, I'm changing my surname.
Yeah,
I'm going to be Batman. Johnny Batman.
There you go.
But yeah, so as we alluded to there earlier in second one, Andrea retreats into the bushes a la Homer Simpson been denied Ned Flanders. Like,
She's fake, I'm telling you.
And then so Batman's just like, all right, so she's gone. Okay, better go get the Joker then. I guess.
Well, that's something I've written down, right? He just sort of jogs off, which is weird, right? Because I wasn't sure, is he leaving? Is he going to look for the Joker? It doesn't seem like he's trying to follow Andrea.
Such a pain in the ass. He's like, I wrecked my bike. Oh, God damn it. It's like I have to walk all the way home now.
Yeah, he's going to have to run out. Because he's not following her, because she slipped into some weird nether realm that he can't follow.
Oh, that'd be weird too if there's only one gate out, and they're like both of them like, oh, yeah, okay, this is awkward.
Awkward.
It's like, I did the whole smoke thing so I could disappear, man, without making it weird, and now you're here again.
But this is the thing, right? So logic would say he's going to look for the Joker. But the way he's running and the direction he's running and the way he's surprised when the Joker does call out, it seems like he was just planning to leave. And he's like, oh yeah, wait a minute, the Joker, crap.
Yeah, he's just like, there must be another way out of here. I don't want to bump into her, so...
It's bizarre. I did find it odd. Because, Joker calls out to him from the shadows. And just the sight and sound of this clown is enough to infuriate him again. He's like, oh, right, I'm staying to deal with you.
I wonder though, was the Joker eavesdropping on their whole conversation too? Where he's like,
yes,
I'll give them a moment.
Absolutely was. I think, yeah, because again, he probably finds it funny that Batman's in this distress with this woman. He's like, oh, this is great.
Well, I guess look, he wouldn't have any context for what's going on though. So he's just like, look at what we had. He's like, what? You two know each other? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, and he would find that amusing as well. Like, oh, brilliant, they were together and now they're falling apart. Isn't that hilarious?
I mean, I have a theory on something like that, but it becomes relevant much later on in the movie.
Much later on, like there's only a couple of weeks left.
Well, they'll become relevant like next week, I think.
No, it's a fantastic moment right before this minute, and I'm first of all thankful I got like just one moment of Andrea Beaumont in this. It's like, okay, that one perfect, love it. I think it's very interesting with Joker kind of baiting Batman into the shadows here, because I feel like that's something. It seems kind of classic to have this cat and mouse chase that's happening with Batman and Joker, but you don't see it as often anymore. And so when I was watching this minute and reviewing it, I was thinking, oh, that's kind of classic. We haven't seen a cat and mouse chase between them in quite a bit, and that's only because this is such a classic movie. But it's been a while. So when I saw that, I thought, oh, that's weird. He's like, they're just literally on foot chasing each other. Like how strange is that? Like there's no confrontation. Joker's not armed to the teeth with something, or no ace up his sleeve yet in this moment, but no, follow me into the shadows. I have more tricks inside this future fair. So
yeah, and it's quite quaint the way he's not set up like a death trap. He's literally just hiding in the model village with a couple of little things.
Yeah. I think they might be trying to do a deliberate play on something that happened earlier, though, because as Batman's approaching like the world of the future, you've got that big giant spruce moose looking biplane pointing off to the left at this point, and Batman going in by himself to chase the Joker. But like the first time we saw that, it was a more pristine version. It was absolutely sun was shining, weather was sweet, the sky wasn't red, and it was at an angle where the jet was pointing to the right, and Bruce was walking in civilian clothes with Andrea. So it's kind of like a flip of that, what the world that was promised and the world that became, sort of like two sides of the same coin. Only one side of that coin is hideously scarred for some reason. I did actually notice earlier if that's a deliberate sort of nod. I was wondering as well, like the same thing of like flipping angles. Is that like I only really knows it during like taking screenshots to post with the episodes, but like when the Joker has Arthur Reeves, he sort of leans over and he bends him over his desk, and they're both kind of angled towards the right, and then like literally in like the next minute, Batman comes in and does his interrogation, and there's a sort of similarly framed shot of him grabbing Arthur Reeves, but they're facing off to the left. And I don't know if that was ever in any way they wanted to make sure of like, just have them at opposite angles, because it's kind of like thematically linked with Batman and the Joker. Been, both with this guy like grabbing this guy by the scruff of his neck and then like, all right, asshole, listen here. But they're both diametrically opposed. I don't think that was a deliberate thing, but I did notice it in terms of like, if you look at the screen cap, if you go on like Instagram and look at the screen caps for each minute, you'll notice that those two images are now side by side, which is quite appropriate. So
it's trying to make a centrist political statement.
I was going to say it wasn't them trying to just like maybe reusing frames and just kind of.
That's what I was going to say. But I like
no, that's the sensible thing to say.
You would think, but no, it's probably the juxtaposition between the same guy getting interrogated and one of them going to the right. One of them leaning more towards the left. What was it? Social commentary is what your political yada yada yada.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, the good cop, bad cop routine.
Yeah. Both parties are aggressive, and neither are favorable.
there's something very, very, very obvious here. So I feel silly even bringing it
No,
up. But we have to
please.
talk
I
about
was
it.
going to wait.
No, be silly.
I didn't know if anybody was going. I didn't know if it was like an eyesore. It is.
Okay, I think we're on the same page then, because as he's walking through the model village or whatever you want to call it, I suppose model city. That doesn't sound right. They're always called a model village, aren't they? We spot one building, which I like this personally. There is a Warner Brothers logo.
Yeah.
Right in the center of the frame.
But like it's as if it's like a central air conditioning unit, just like with a company logo on it, though. Unless this is like, oh no, we got to make sure we're gonna have like the WB Gotham headquarters, but obviously it's not the biggest building in the city.
Yeah, it looks more like a sort of like it's a giant. It's like it'd be like a filming studio, maybe. Like it's
My
like a
first question
soundstage
is like,
but
does a Warner Brothers building is this building does Warner Brothers have a building that looks like this? And boy, what were they doing? They're like, wow, kids are gonna love it when they see this Easter egg. Yeah,
or they know what kids are into. Corporate logos.
Yeah.
It's weird 'cause for us though, because we've had to talk about like the Warner Brothers Shield every season so far, but it's usually like the first minute. So it's like, what are you doing here, Warner Brothers Shield? You were friggin' 64 minutes ago or whatever. Goddamn.
The producer
normally
found out about these
something-
things called Easter eggs, and they're like, "Oh, you should totally put an Easter egg of the Warner Brothers logo." And the artists are like, "Oh, okay, sure." It's like, what if it was like
Fine.
right here? It's like in the middle of the frame. Okay,
Yeah, exactly. It's like it has to look like a soundstage. I think it's got to be.
yeah.
See, that would normally irritate me, but there's something about the way it's done here. I think it's kind of fun because I think there's a couple of ways we could look at it. Is there a Warner Brothers building in the world of Batman? Is it in Gotham?
No.
Is it a different company called WB? I think maybe it's supposed to be the person who's made the model city.
Wayne Bruce.
That's his initials.
Yeah,
Wayne Bruce.
Wayne Beaumont. In this feature, they were together,
he's an
joined their.
architect.
I was gonna say they joined their companies together, and so
I
Wayne
love
Industries and Beaumont Industries, they like.
That's good. That's really good, Mark. That's actually really good.
That's what it.
I could see that being the case.
Yeah.
This is the future that they wanted.
That's
And
really
then
good.
there was the clash of Batman and the Joker destroys that dream that they'll never get to be together.
Yep.
So Wayne Beaumont, the soundstage could never be. Tragically.
Oh.
They started a theater group.
I think that's why, like, Andrea, so like, we never knew what she studied at university. She might have been like, oh no, it was a full-blown theater kid. So yeah, that's why it's like, oh, every production has to have a smoke machine.
Yeah.
Every single one. It's like I thought you were just doing like friggin' the like Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. Smoke machine everywhere. They just have a smoke machine in the house. Why not? Why not? Come on.
I agree. Again, as a fan of anything 80s, you improve everything with a smoke machine. Look at those. Look at music videos. Look at even like you got Kate Bush, right? They're all period kind of videos. Smoke machines.
Yeah, Joker wouldn't have gone amiss by having a smoke machine in this model city. Just like be look really eerie. Batman walking along the rooftops, or amongst the buildings themselves, and there's an eerie mist everywhere too. That would have been pretty cool. But I come out and suggest this. I imagine someone suggested that at the time, and the animators were like, "We've got 8 months to make this movie.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything. Going, goddamn fog, you crazy."
Now that is one thing that I think animators using CGI for these days is fine. Like, obviously, I'm not going to criticize anyone, but when I see a cartoon, so to speak, that's all done on computers, not only can I tell, but I don't like it as much. Right? It's like, it's not as cool. But if you want to do stuff like smoke, just use a computer. Imagine sitting and drawing that. No.
Yeah. Sometimes though it doesn't. Like I went to see Blue Beetle during the week. I quite enjoyed it. It's a perfectly cromulent superhero film. But I noticed at one bit when they go to Ted Kort's old house, they've CGI'd in some flamingos. And it's so distracting because they're clearly CGI flamingos.
Why didn't they just get some flamingos?
Just get some flamingos. Like, that's the whole thing, too. Like, that's everything that's happening now with Lucasfilm and the volume. Is that they use the volume for everything.
Just
This
get some
kind of
sand.
weird- Yeah. It was like, why they're in a forest, but why all the trees CGI? Just go film in a forest, for Christ's sake. They're everywhere. Come on. But putting the Warner Brothers shield there. Oh, I noticed too. This isn't a catch up to something I think we did at the start of last season, John, where we talked because WB they finally, after like many decades, did a shield redesign.
Yeah.
And it looked like garbage. But the thing is, like, you in your classically contentious way, I was just like, John, have you seen this? And you're like, no, I haven't. I was like, oh, it's awful. And then you went and looked at it, and it's like, I love it. It's great. But with it was there for 1 year, and they've redesigned it already because they realized, like, oh, no, it does look like crap.
I liked it. I mean, I'm not doing it to be contrarian. I think it's the way my brain works. I don't know.
But it was. I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was just. I think it was at the front of the Snyder Cut, actually. The blue on blue. Yeah. It was just like a dark blue white on top of like a blue sky or whatever. It was just like very, very flat, very uninspired. But now they're gone to put back in the kind of orangey, goldy kind of lining, and it does pop. Like it's like, oh no, that looks better. Like it doesn't look. It looked perfect in the early 90s. Like you had it, just that was it. That was the Warner Bros. Logo. Maybe I'm biased because I grew up with that.
I think that's it, yeah.
But it's like, when Universal, they kind of perfected it in the early 90s as well. And then they decided to change it and it looked like crap again. But it was one of those, I understand the studio was like, no, we have to change with the times. We can't have the same logo for like literally over 100 years. So
yeah, and I thought that new one looked modern. There's a modern thing for clean design. Not many colors, quite flat, things like that.
Mm-hmm. It definitely at that time it was like minimalist. Everyone wanted it to somehow be retro because I think it was also the same time span where they redesigned the DC logo to be back to that kind of retro style. And I didn't know they changed it this year, so that's new to me. But the one that we're most familiar with, I mean, that was 30 years of having that logo. And then the one that we're talking about now, which I think is just like the letters make the shield shape, right? And there's no actual shield around it.
But no, they've changed it now. It's back to, it's basically the Warner Brothers shield, but like a little simpler, but it's still...
It's not 3D or, there's no 3D lettering or anything on it.
Nothing like that, no.
It looks like a Letterman jacket patch, to be honest with you.
Oh.
It was like a little better, but I'm just like, it was perfect. You had it perfect, and now you're kind of just going and like, well, we're going to go... I guess we gotta go mix it up or whatever, but it's gonna be weird. Actually, you bringing up the DC logo and stuff, that'll be weird because like we've had to talk, again, the Warner Brothers Shield so much, but like after this movie, we might be going into Adam West's movie, which I believe is a Fox release, and then after that, you go back into the Nolan stuff, and there's like freaking 10 logos in front of all those. Yeah. The Syncopathy or whatever you call it, and then
there's too many in movies now. Like I'll put a film on and I'm sitting there for 5 minutes while it does the goddamn intro.
Oh yeah, that's in like all those Batman movies. You just get a real here we go, and then it's like you got like 30-40 seconds of just
it's the whole opening bit of Tim and Eric's $1 billion movie with the Schlang Corporation.
Dude, like a legit 5-minute run of just like logos. It's really good.
Yeah. But
speaking of things tied to this logo, I thought, the way Joker is stalking Batman here, with the building on his head and the cheeky music it's playing, it felt like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
I think maybe that's why they put the Warner Brothers logo there, because Warner Brothers is so synonymous with Looney Tunes.
Yeah.
And this is cat and mouse chase. And
yeah, didn't it feel? It feels very... I was thinking especially like something Bugs Bunny would be doing.
Oh, totally. 100%. Yeah. It's, I get to it, it's the plink of the xylophone. Of the
yeah.
And it's the way he seemed, like, in order to get the building to move, he'd have to be doing like really exaggerated tiptoeing, like very like Jim Carrey kind of tiptoeing sort of materials. It's I think that might be why they brought out that specifically. It's like, oh no, we're kind of doing, and again, it's extreme juxtaposition to like the minute before and the beginning of this minute was very somber, very adult conversation going on. And then it's like really getting into the themes and all this sort of stuff. And then now we're going to like, it's zany again because he's dealing directly with the Joker. But that has a lighthearted cartoonishness to it. But as we'll see in the next minute, like it gets pretty violent then. So there's a range of stuff. But yeah, of course we do get the Joker stalking the Bat throughout this new, as Bjork would call it, a city. It's a little city.
Nice impression. I like it.
Oh, that's funny. I have a question about this city for you guys. So is this this model village? This was built in the past in relation to this, correct? Where we're at, like right now in the movie, right?
Yeah,
okay.
It was part of, you see Bruce and Andrea go through it as part of like a little roller coaster thing. Yeah,
I remember that whole thing. So it was built in the past and whatnot. So my question was, is this supposed to be reminiscent of what we know Gotham is more like in the animated series in like the near future? Or is this supposed to, and could this be a reflection of the Neo-Gotham from Beyond? I was trying to look at screenshots of like Neo-Gotham, and I'm pretty sure the buildings look a lot different. The cars you could maybe give a little bit of the cars to it.
Do the vehicles?
Yeah.
Do any of these models make it into Batman Beyond? Because then that would be a really cool Easter egg. Like, oh yeah, they actually finally released the Cybertruck of
exactly
whatever this is.
Exactly.
Right, that would be amazing because I think it's kind of it's closer to the Gotham in the modern day, like as in this time that it's set.
Yeah,
it's almost like they were predicting, oh, this is what Gotham will look like in 20 years.
Yeah,
you know? But I think it would be, you've brought up something there. I think it would be really cool and a tie-in between different things if it looked like Beyond. That'd be amazing. Like, oh, this is the Gotham of the future.
Yeah. I think the Batman Beyond's still like 7 years away or something at this point.
But imagine if they could have done that. Oh.
Yeah. Or when they're in Beyond, it's like, should we try to make it look more like that? Like, nah, it looks too... I think they wanted to go, like, make it look so completely different. Like, to indicate that, like, so much time has passed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is where you get George Lucas to come in and do special edition of this movie and change the cityscape.
Yeah. That's because I know they had, like, on that Warner Brothers lot, they were actually filming a little mini Batman movie. And they've got him in the Terry McGinnis outfit and stuff. Like he's on the roof of the building or something. He's fighting, like, you just see this little glowing green thing. It's like, he's fighting Blight. How the hell do they know that? Like, what the hell is going on?
How would they know that? How would they know? That is crazy. That's like if we can do time travel, that'd be something that I would do, right? You just add in little bits of animation of future things, specifically Batman stuff.
The problem is, I was joking before, but that is what led George Lucas to do what he did. It's a dark path.
Don't do it.
Yeah. But of course, though, then we get the Joker. Like, you see him grinning within the windows of the little headpiece build. I don't know if he just, like, if the thing was already like that, or if he specifically broke it off and then hauled it out so he could wear it as a little hat, or...
It's very strange. I mean, what are you supposed to wear it on your head? Like, why is there a shoulder rest on the facade? Like, was that part of a performance in this village, or were they teaching kids about skyscrapers and they have to have this?
It was like a mascot. They're like, oh, it's
Chrysler, the walking skyscraper.
It is very specifically the Chrysler building as well. Like, it's kind of like, is this Gotham or is this New York now? Like, what is this? But
because it's the Chrysler building, but then I think behind it would be similar to Chicago's what would be the Sears building, but now it's called something else. I can never remember what it's called now, right? But they usually associate the.
Is it one of those things where they change the name and nobody accepts it?
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what that Chicago building is called anymore, other than the Sears building.
Well, Mark, I mean, you're familiar with Toho. You know that, like, actual people are behind those buildings, and when Godzilla comes in, like, those are extras falling over.
That's not true. As the building? No.
As the buildings. Those are extras. Come on, you know this. That's why the headpiece is there.
Yeah, it's a fact, right?
No. But speaking of Joker motifs, I guess I have to correct myself for something I said earlier in the season, because
no.
The minute where Sal Valestra shows up and like meets the Joker for the first time, I said like, oh, I think this is the only time you get hearing the Joker theme in this movie. When he takes him on that roller coaster, probably the same roller coaster that's going past Batman. Oh no, it's a train going past Batman. My mistake. But no, you do hear Shirley Walker's Joker theme again right here in full force, like the classic. One of the most sort of enduring sounds of beyond Batman's main theme in itself. Like the Joker's leitmotif was also sort of became iconic. And going through the animated series again, because Shirley Walker did a thing for every episode. Nearly every major villain, if you notice it or not, all of them got their own leitmotifs. So, Two-Face's one's very, it's great, really creepy. That kind of weird, discorded, sort of almost done on like a recorder. Or like a tin whistle is real. And the Penguin has this weird.
The marching sounds and everything.
But they're thinking about I was trying to look in to see if Shirley Walker's done any interviews about Joker's theme and stuff, and because tragically she died in 2006, and I think if it had been nowadays, she would be inundated with interview requests for this kind of thing. But back then, I don't think they were quite as people weren't quite as fervent for Batman stuff. But it reminded me as well of a thing I found out, which was like I was amazed by that, like. Because obviously, Joker's theme is kind of based on carnival sounds, because it just sounds like you could play that at a carnival and no one would think any different. But the classic clown song, Does anyone know where that comes from? Like the origin behind that as a theme?
No. My brother had a show in marching
with
band.
Clowns, but
yeah. It originally had nothing to do with clowns at all. That piece is actually called "Entrance of the Gladiators." It was
that is not a song Gladiators are using. I'm sorry.
If Gladiators were using, man, it's.
You're telling me Maximus was walking out with that playing? No.
Yeah.
Well, that's the crazy thing about it. It's just like it was written by a guy in like it was 1830, I think, or thereabouts. It would have been closer to time than that because the guy's nephew got killed by the Nazis. So it would have been like late 1800s. And a guy called Julius Fusik, a Czechoslovakian fella. And then he was, he's known for writing polkas and all this kind of stuff. Amazing mustache, if you see a picture of him. No, it's no Cesar Romero mustache, but it's a good mustache.
You're talking like Hercule Poirot type of mustache?
Oh, not quite that
type.
It's not quite as lavish as Kenneth Branagh's Poirot is, but it might be like a David Thewlis.
Okay. That's a good one.
But yeah, so he got involved in the Austro-Hungarian army, and then he left it to become second bassoonist to the German theaters. Like I don't know, the army just let you go, so you become a second bassoonist.
Second bassoonist.
It's a great way to get out of it. Yeah.
But yeah, he wrote a song called Grande Marche Chromatique. And it was just this real silliest sounding like jaunty theme. And then at one point he went and he was reading a book that described the entrance of a gladiator. And he thought that sounded so cool, he just renamed the song Entrance of the Gladiators.
Oh my god.
And so when I first heard it, I thought it's called Entrance of the Gladiators. Like, it must have been originally it was a much slower piece and it had a real dun 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 dun. Like it was supposed to be, but no, it was always played as dun, 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 dun,
as a polka
and he just
piece. Dang.
Yeah, and so basically the equivalent of a guy who wrote the Care Bears theme tune. Reading about Spider-Man and thinking, oh, that sounds cool. I'm just going to call it the Spider-Man theme now. And putting that out as if it worked. It's like, no, it doesn't work at all. And yeah, it was one of those things, as soon as it hit America, they're like, Entrance of the Gladiators. No. So it ended up being reprinted as Thunder and Blazes. And then the circus started using it, and now it's become synonymous with circus malarkey. So, but yeah, that is the weird origin of the original clown theme.
That guy pulled a fast one over us, honestly. He just switched the name. It was people are gonna think this is awesome.
Yeah.
They're gonna play it and be like, "What's going on?"
No, he originally wrote it to be a march for the army, for the Austro-Hungarian army.
Yeah, they ain't winning no wars with that song. No, that's not.
It'd be terrifying hearing that coming.
You basically it's an army of clowns, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be scary.
Shaking in my boots.
It's like, you know how many of those clowns you can fit in a little tiny car? How many can you fit into a tank? Come on.
There's just hundreds of them start pouring out of tanks.
It just takes like 5 hours for them to get out of there.
Oh my gosh.
The other army's already like decimated the buildings behind them. But no, that's that. And then
Wait, hang on. There's gotta like
No, it's like we need a sequel to Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but it's like to an extreme degree where they're like almost like Mars Attacks level of, you know, they're like walking on stilts and it's like the walkers are coming in. It's like,
you know, like
just go crazy with it.
You know when they like stormed the beaches of Normandy and like those boats were the square boats and they came up and they just kind of dropped off at the door, and if it was all clowns running out of those U-boats.
Oh my gosh.
Just endless clowns.
no, but,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
No problem. So we're near enough at the end of the minute, though. We began with a Homer Simpson's comparison. We can end with of course, entrance of the gladiators always makes me think of like, do you want to go into the ballet? Do you like ballet, Homer? Marjorie, please. I enjoy all the meats of our cultural stew. Ballet. Just thinking of the bear driving in the little car.
If only that was the ballet.
It's no. I should also mention though, one actual final note before we go off this minute. Is that a little toy car hits Batman's foot, and he drastically overreacts to it.
Yeah, apparently a Scalextric's car can actually hurt a grown man.
Yeah, with a big freaking Batman boot.
Yeah.
You think would be pretty well enforced, but he's like, ah! Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, how much can that really do to you?
he acts like he's been stabbed.
like they might have been reusing frames of when the planes come and hit him later. But I don't know why you even have that beat there. It's like, oh, he's walking amongst the city. We want to make sure that people know that there's little cars going around.
A literal Achilles heel.
Oh, yeah.
The citizens
my
of Gotham.
bunion.
Yeah. Citizens of Gotham are Batman's Achilles heel, and a taxi running into his heel is, metaphorically getting him.
It could be, yeah, because it's interesting throwing this in at all, as you say now, because like the draft doesn't have any of this Toy Town thing. None of it. It feels like they were going, we've got to make the Joker a bit lighter. Put in some like funny kind of Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah,
But it's his greatest enemy. It's the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, should actually, though, because people probably will yell about it in the listener's cave, because I was doing all that Faust talk earlier. The opera that Bruce Wayne goes to see in Batman Begins is Faust. That's where his parents got killed outside the production of Faust.
Yeah.
It's not the Fledermaus, as many people believe. That's what I thought for many years. But no, it is, in fact, a production of Faust. So,
And Faust is cool.
We got it in just under the radar there.
So we will head off now. We'll do plugs on the next episode. We'll do them on the Friday episode. But do join us again then for minute 66. And we may very well have the same guests coming back. Ooh, you'll have to tune in to see, though. Yeah, it's a hint. We will have the... yeah, it's the same. It's the same. So if you love these guys, like I'm sure you do. Yeah.
Can't wait for more Mark and Nathan showing up and someone else is there. Like, what? God damn.
See ya then, Batmites.
Next time, let them fight. Two kaiju contenders clash with a Chrysler. A tactical kick cracks the enamel of a callous criminal voiced by Mark Hamill. But as the clown king of the monsters gets ready to bolt, can he pause a paladin's pursuit with a peculiar aerial assault? It's on like King Kong on Friday, Bat fans. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute. Let's get ready to rumble!